Hi, I'm Commissioner Regalado. Thank you for joining us on your lunch break. Today, we're talking with one of our amazing community partners about the different programming and opportunities that we have and how we work with them and how we can work with you to do more and provide these services to all the residents of Miami-Dade County.
This, I believe, I hope anyway, this should be a very hopefully impactful session today. Today, I want us to actually start changing the approach and start looking more at, start looking more at frameworks so that we can actually get something done. If I told you that, kind of the most successful kind of entrepreneurs in 2026, they're not the ones with the most knowledge, but they're the ones who know how to kind of best think through frameworks, how to get things done. So if you kind of look at kind of some of the people that are on this call here, every single, one of you knows your business better than any consultant, any professor, any AI ever could. You know your customers, you know your neighborhood, you know the rhythm of Coral Gables and Pinecrest and South Miami. And that knowledge, it's irreplaceable. But here's the thing. It's not what you know that will 10x your business. It's how you think about what you know. So the entrepreneurs who are winning right now, they're not the ones with MBAs or decades of experience, even though that certainly helps. They're the ones who learn to think in systems, to think in frameworks, and to use AI as a thinking partner, not just as a tool. So today, what I want to show you how to do is I want to show you how you can use this four-step system that any business owner on this call can use starting today, not next month, today. And I do want to make sure that I pause for a second and thank Commissioner Regalado for making this possible. So I want to thank Commissioner Regalado for understanding that the businesses in District 7 deserve access to the same AI-powered strategies that Fortune 500 companies are spending millions on. So the playing field has never been more level than it is right now. What used to cost, $500,000 in consulting fees, by the first 20 minutes, I'm going to show you how to replace a $50,000 consultant with something that is far superior. You can now do for less than maybe your monthly, Netflix bill. And that's not an exaggeration. That's the reality of where we are. So here's what we're going to cover today. I'm going to go over 4 tools. I'm going to go over 4 steps, but I'm going to go over one system. So by the time that you leave here, I want you to have a complete roadmap so that you can build something that's valid and viable starting today. So the question isn't whether AI is going to transform your business. It's whether you'll be the one that's driving that transformation or if you're going to be the one watching, your competitor do that. I want to bring up Manus. Okay. How much would you pay for a world-class business consultant, a world-class business consultant who could analyze your entire market, who could identify your ideal customer, who could hand you a complete intelligence dossier, and could do all of this in less than an hour? So again, I want to demo this here in a second, but I want to make sure that I set the stage first to tell you about Manus. Manus is the tool that I'm going to say for me. Manus is the tool that changed everything for me. It costs $20 to $40 a month, and I know that's expensive. And in that $20 to $40 a month, you get a set of tokens that will just go by fast if you use it like ChatGPT. It's the most expensive tool that I'm going to mention today, but it is hands down the best AI consultant on this planet. Like my grandmother used to say, if you think education is expensive, try being stupid. That's what this is. It's $20 to $40 a month, but you have access to a world-class expert. That is the difference. So here's what you do. You go to manus.im, and you don't just tell it, I need you to analyze my business. You have to give it a way more robust prompt. We've been through several of these, 8, I believe. We've been through a lot of these. And we've been through, several of these, and you should, I hope by now, start to kind of understand how these meta prompts work. But you need to tell it four critical things. Four things I would urge you, and it doesn't matter if you have an existing business, thinking about a new business, thinking about, um, you've been in business, you're brand new, you're a startup, or you've been in business for a while. Start with Manus. Tell Manus, I need to identify my ICP, right? I need to identify my ideal customer profile after you've given it your your context about your business. You have to identify your ideal customer profile. Who exactly is your perfect customer, your perfect avatar? And it's certainly not everybody in Miami. I mean, specifically, what do they earn? What do they worry about? What are their pain points? Where do they hang out online? What keeps them up at night? Manus will build, and I'm going to show you this, a complete psychological and demographic profile that would take a marketing agency weeks to produce. Weeks. And Manus will knock this thing out in 5 or 10 minutes. Second, what you want to ask Manus is you want to ask Manus to identify the gap in the market that your business solves. And your business solves at scale. Let's think about that. From a business perspective, I need to know, who am I talking to? Number one, your ICP. Number two, what gaps exist in the market? What problems exist that you specifically can solve or are solving? What can you solve? And is this a problem that you can scale? That's critical to be able to understand that. Not just what you do, but what makes you different and how you can scale that difference. And third, this is where it starts to get really, really powerful. You need to identify your moat. That's more important than people, care to discuss. AI is coming. What is your moat that's going to keep you valid and viable in your business? In business, a moat is what protects you from your competition, is what makes you defensible. What is that for you? Is it your location? Is it your relationships? Is it your data, your expertise, your brand? What is that for you? What is your moat? Manus will help you see that clearly. And fourth, once you understand what your moat is, you have to figure out how to defend that moat. Because having a moat, having something unique that nobody else has, doesn't mean that you can protect it. The output of all of this is what I call your dossier, a complete business intelligence document that will become, hear me when I say this, the foundation for everything else that we're going to build, not just today, but for your entire business. So I'm going to show you exactly how this works. So let me go over here. I've already mentioned it is manus.im. You go to manus.im. This will bring up Manus. It's kind of expensive, as I mentioned. But the key to this is going to be the prompts that we put in here. So let me put in a prompt. This is my prompt, usually the first prompt that I use. I'll make sure everybody has access to this. I call it my research prompt. And in my research prompt, what I tell it to do is I simply say, I just want you to fill in the blanks here. I use this all the time. I want you to research 5 customer avatars for an offer about my business. And this is where you would describe your business. These avatars are going to be based off of the stages of awareness taught by Eugene Schwartz. Eugene Schwartz is the godfather of marketing, really. He's the guy, if you know the Clydesdale horses from, around Christmas for Budweiser, that was him. If you know the polar bears for Coca-Cola, that was him. Brilliant guy. Absolute genius. So based off of Eugene Schwartz and his research on market awareness, I need you to identify for my specific business, what does an unaware customer look like? In other words, what does a customer look like that is not even aware that they have a problem? Remember, I'm in business to solve a problem. What does a customer look like that's not even aware that they have a problem? because that's a much more difficult sale. That means I have to convince you that you have a problem, and then I have to convince you that there is a solution to your problem, and then I have to convince you that my specific solution is the solution to your problem. What you really want is you want the problem aware avatar. You want people that understand that they have a problem because those are the people that are out there looking for solutions. That's a different kind of sale. With that sale, you're only trying to convince them or show them or guide them that, hey, this is how we're going to solve your problem. So who is the audience? What exactly is the problem that they have? What's your price point, etc. But we're going to go, this is about a psychometric profile on your customer. And I want you to think about how this applies to everything in your business. This is the foundation for literally every single marketing artifact that you're going to push out. This is going to be the foundation for your website, for your funnels, for your landing pages, for your social presence, everything. Because you're going to be talking specifically to this customer. What do they like? What are their brands? What's their personality like? And this is where it starts to get real. What are their top 3 dominant negative emotions, positive emotions? What do they wear? What do they want? I only want 1,000 words and I only want the problem aware avatar. So fine, let me just copy all of this. I'm not even going to give this a lot of thought. Copy this. I'm going to put this into Manus. And in Manus, I'm just going to make those updates. Let me just, for my business, I'll speak from one of my businesses here. I'm offering small business loans to small businesses in Miami-Dade County. It is no credit requirements. The loans will be based off of revenue. So that's the offer. Okay, I only want problem aware avatar, blah, 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 blah. The audience is small businesses in Miami. Think realtors, think pool cleaners, think plumbers, but small businesses in Miami. And the problem that they have, they have trouble accessing capital, working capital from large banks. Okay, for the price point, whatever. It will be a couple of percents on the loan. Again, we're offering working capital to small businesses. Target market, this is getting redundant, but this is the last one, second to last one. Target market, small businesses in Miami. Benefit so that they can have access to working capital to expand the business, make payroll, whatever they need to do to keep the lights on. Okay, fine. So let me just launch that. And I'll make sure everybody has access to all of these prompts and things that I'm using here. And just like the last time, if you click in here, you'll see the Manus computer doing its thing. So like I said, this is multiple agents that's going out here, multiple agents that's going out here, working in parallel, doing all of the research, targeting specifically our community. I should have said District 7 now that I think about it, but targeting our community. So it's not going to be small business owners in, Alaska or the Philippines. It's specifically for our region here. So I'm going to let it do its thing. Let me just get out the way. And while it's doing that, I'm not going to go through all of this. I just want you to have the idea, but I would continue this once it's finished. Because I'm defining my ideal customer profile is what I'm doing. I would follow this up when it finishes and do a brand analysis. I would do an intellectual property check. I'd look for, some sample District 7 businesses. But this would be my ICP. I'm not sure if you can see this, but It's reading LinkedIn posts about the pain that small businesses have. It's researching specific Miami service businesses and the financial pain points that they have. Okay. And it's not just it's looking at predatory lending targeting small businesses so that we can kind of understand their fears, things like that. This thing is it's next level. This is literally having an expert available to you. I know it's taking a little bit of time, but that's what you get, right? I mean, it's not magic. All right, I think it's coming to a close here. Like it's writing the dossier. Okay, there we go. Okay, so there is our let me let it finish. Okay. So here is my ideal customer profile, okay? Based off of the research of Eugene Schwartz. This is the customer that I would go after, right? So the prospect knows they have a problem, right? Whatever that is, but they don't know that there's a solution, right? Revenue based, no credit requirements, working capital, whatever, right? And this would obviously be specific to you and your business who they are, right? In this case, right, we're doing the psychometric analysis. Let's say a plumbing and HVAC service company, whatever, whatever. What's their income? What's their marital status? What's their educational level? What do they like, right? What type of clothes do they like? I need to be in the mind of my customer here. Hobbies, favorite movies, favorite books. Um, I could tell you this is pretty darn close. You'll be amazed at how close this gets to your ideal customer profile. If it's not identical, then obviously you would keep going through this a few times until you can get to your specific ideal customer here. But this is the main thing. When I'm doing all of my marketing, all of my campaigns, I need to be highly cognizant of what their major values are. When I'm doing my campaigns, when I'm engaging with my customers, speaking to them, I need to know what their major values are. That's going to drive all of my marketing campaigns, some of their life victories. Think about this here, understanding what keeps my ideal customer up at night. All of my marketing is going to be geared specifically to move them towards their fears, to move them away from their fears or towards their dreams. So if you look at this here, anybody who's been in business through a startup, you know what that feels like right there. That's what keeps them up at night. My marketing will be tied to that, what they're secretly afraid of, what they're angry about, their frustrations, their desires. All of this is the context and the foundation that I need to put together a campaign to engage with my customers, and also the top three dominant negative emotions. I would probably expand this. I'm not going to, but I would probably expand this and say if my customer were to write in a diary what their experience was like before they used my service, the first time they used my service, and after they used my service, what would that look like? Here, I can't copy and paste. Try this, copy. And again, this is all going to be centered around understanding my ICP. I'm going to use this here in a second to build an application that's going to speak directly to my customer. So the more context I can provide it, the better. So I like to use this prompt here. What would your perfect customer say the very first time they use your product or service? Actually, yeah, before they use your service, I'm sorry. Because what I'm getting at is what is the pain that your customer is going through? The first time that they use your product or service, what does life look like for them? What is the value that you bring to your perfect customer? And then after they use your product or service, why could they never leave? Again, all of this is the context that I'm going to be using for sales. I'll do this individually, I'll do this at the group level, but this is a great one. Okay, so to close the circle with this, if you look at this here, the house is completely silent, but my head is screaming. I've been staring at the ceiling fan for 3 hours, blah, 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 blah. 0. That's exactly what the Chase app said when I refreshed it for the 5th time today. Actually, no, it's 42.18, but when payroll hits tomorrow, I need $14,500 just to keep the guys from walking. So yeah, effectively 0. This is the context that we want to provide to the AI, right? The emotional architecture of this. This is the emotional reactions that I'm looking for when I'm putting together my campaigns, my landing pages, my funnels, etc. It's a great one, right? During first time, you all can read. I'll make sure that you have access to all of this. All right, so here's the killer one. So with all of that context here, I'm going to tell it to, I'm just going to copy this. I'm going to say, based off of everything that you know about my business, I want you to create me a brand. Create me a brand based off of that. I'm going to get this running because it takes a long time to run. So if you think about it, you now have your ideal customer profile. You have the psychometrics on your ideal customer, specific to you. You know their pain points deeply because you did the diary prompt here, and this is specific to you and your customer. So now that you have that context and you now know that, now what I want you to do is I want you to start building a brand around that. One of my good buddies, I tell everybody, one of my good buddies is, Red Food, the guy that had that music, I'm Sexy and I Know It, Party Rock Mansion, Shots. He was the one that really kind of told me about the importance of brand. So now that you have all this context around your customer, what brand would resonate with your specific customer? What's the brand voice? How do your customers communicate? What's the language that they use? What's their communication style? As you try to tell the story of your business, what is that brand narrative that's going to resonate with them? What's the colors? Color theory, right? That's going to resonate with your specific customer. And I understand the key to all of this are the prompts. Like I said, I'll give you access to all of these prompts here. Primary colors, secondary colors, etc. Okay. Oh, shoot. I've uploaded your document, blah, blah, blah. The research summary, etc., is all from this session. Use that from this session. I was over here talking the whole time thinking that it was executing, but it wasn't. It was asking me a question and it was waiting for my answer. Okay. So, like I said in the beginning, Manus, it is your expert business consultant is what this thing is. And you'll see that there's absolutely nothing wrong with Manus. In order to squeeze the value out of Manus, it's going to depend exclusively on how robust and comprehensive your prompts are. Okay. So while this is doing its thing, over here, I'm going to move on to I'm going to come back to this, okay, because it's building the brand, but I want to come back to this. So that's how I use Manus. Manus is my AI business consultant. I help, I use it to get me all of the context that I need. Manus.im. That's number one. So number two, after I do Manus.im, I take all of that context from Manus and I put it in Claude. Now that you have your intelligence dossier, what do you actually do with that? And this is where most people get stuck. You have great research, you have great data, you have great insights. And then you sit there looking at this Google Doc that's collecting dust. You don't know what to do from there. You have to take that research and put it into action. You have to take that dossier, everything that Manus gave you, and you have to feed it into Claude AI, specifically Claude Opus 4.6 Thinking, or Sonnet if you need to save a little bit. It's $20 a month. And I'd spend that $20 a month gladly over Chat GPT or any of them. It's the best. And here's what you ask Claude to do. If you're building an application, maybe a booking system or a customer portal or a mobile app for your business, whatever, you ask Claude to build your product requirements document. Maybe it's a marketing campaign. You ask Claude to take all of that context from Manus and develop a campaign. You take all that context from Manus and say, hey, I need a business strategy. Claude takes everything that Manus discovered about your market, your customers, your competitive advantages, your risk, and it turns it into a step-by-step blueprint for exactly what to build and how to build it. So maybe you're not building an app. Maybe you're building a business system. Maybe a new service offering, maybe a franchise model, maybe a consulting practice, whatever. You start by understanding your customer, and then you have Claude go out there and build whatever it is that you need to build. Remember, you're not starting from scratch, you're starting from intelligence. So every recommendation that Claude makes is going to be grounded in that real data about your market, about your customers. That's how you go from Manus to Claude. So let me give you an example of what that looks like. So if you look over here, Manus has built my perfect customer avatar, my ICP. It's built the pain points with the diary. And now it's built me a brand and identity system. So I know that the core brand attributes are dignity, velocity, transparency, empowerment, and grit for my customers. This is how my customer likes to be talked to, with a resolute, empathetic, straightforward, and confidently informal tone. I need to position myself as a trusted business partner that's sitting across the table at a job site, not a loan officer in a glass tower, language, etc. Right? So this is the brand narrative. This right here, look at where things start to turn a corner. Color theory. Color theory. Right? This is the colors that we're going to use when we do our marketing, when we develop our logo, when we build our funnels, when we build them landing pages. Everything. These are our primary colors, our secondary colors, our functional colors, our typography, the font sizes, everything. I'm not an expert in this. This is stuff that we would normally pay design experts tens of thousands of dollars to do, just to come up with this document right here. Now you have your complete framework to build an application. It's not simply, hey, go out here and say, build me an application. That's how lames do it. You do your research first, get your context, and now when you tell it to build the application, it's going to build you a killer application with copy that speaks directly to your customer. Directly to your customer. So let me go ahead and do this. Now that I have all of this here, I would tell it, hey, I want you to go ahead and build me a landing page. I could do that if I want to, with all of that context and information. All right, I'm not doing all that. Right here. Right here. This is what I'm looking for. So I'm going to tell it to go ahead and build me some specifications for a landing page is all I'm going to tell it to do. But while it's doing that, I'm going to move over to Claude, like I mentioned. Claude.ai. And with Claude.ai, what I'm going to tell this thing to do is to take all of the documents that we have. Here's my problem aware avatar. Let me download that. It's my customer ICP. This is their, let me download. This is the diary, and this is the brand and identity system. Let me download that. So I'm going to take all of that information that we got from Manus. I'm going to put that into Claude. 1, 2, and 3, right? And remember, this is for your business. So I'm going to tell it, based off of all of this context in the attached documents, I want you to write me a product requirements document to build a landing page for this company. Make sure that you write the copy, and the copy should engage and resonate deeply with the problem-aware avatar. So now I've taken all of that nuanced context and I've put that into Claude. I could say, based off of my avatar, based off of my ideal customer profile, I want you to build me a marketing campaign. I want you to build me a business strategy. I want you to tell me what data I need so that I can achieve my business strategy, etc. But today is about building an application. So I want to show you how the pros go through this. It's not about what you know, it's about how you think. What is the thought process that gets you from point A to point B? So I did the same thing in Manus too, just so you know. Did the same thing in Manus. I told Manus to give me a product requirements document over here, selling from business to consumer. So I'll have 2 product requirements documents. But again, this could be for anything. All right, so I'm going to let this do its thing. That's how I use Claude. The last thing is you've used AI to get all of your context. You've taken all of that context and created either a business playbook, a step-by-step business playbook, or a product requirements document. Now, if this is about building a site, now you can give this context to something like AI Studio and say, AI Studio, I want you to take all this context and I want you to build the application for me. AI Studio, you take the context and you build all of this for me. Okay. So I'm not going to say anything else about this. I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you. So I'm going to go to aistudio.google.com. From here, I'm going to go to build. Skip this. I'm going to take this and I'm going to do 3.1 Pro. Any of them will work. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to give it the documents. I'm actually going to give it one more. I'm going to go to Manus because Manus gave it a landing page as well. So I'm going to download that landing page also. Here's my product requirements document. Based on this context and this product requirements document, please go ahead and build out my landing page. And now I'm not saying build a website and then just hoping for the best. I've done a full psychometric evaluation on my ideal customer. I understand how my customer thinks deeply. And I'm not saying these are one-shot prompts and you're done. You look at the first output, and if it doesn't jive with your common sense, then you keep prompting it until you have the perfect customer avatar. And then after you do that, after you have the perfect customer avatar, then you get their pain points with the diary. Then you figure out what's the perfect brand to talk to your perfect customer. And then you wrap all that up and say, okay, now take all of that context, and we're going to use all of that context to build a landing page that speaks to this customer. All right, so this will actually take a little while. It's digesting a lot of information. While it's doing that, I'm going to go over here, go back to Manus, and tell Manus, basically, you've done all the research, Manus. You can also generate a landing page based on all these specifications as well. Typically, I don't like to do this in Manus because Manus, like I said, is expensive. But you can build a page in Manus as well. We've gone through the process. I'm going to tell you that I can tell you with direct firsthand, experience and knowledge. I have had several students in my classes that have taken these skills right here. They've gone out, they've contacted local businesses, and they've come back to them and said, hey, let me rebuild your website. If you don't like it, don't pay me anything. If you like it, pay me, whatever. And they're getting real customers, real customers. People are loving it. So this is about how you build a site. This is what we're doing here. Look at this here. Look at this. And by the way, this copy is speaking to your perfect avatar. Stop begging banks, get the working capital your hustle deserves. No credit checks, no collateral, just fast revenue-based funding for Miami small businesses so you can make payroll and keep the lights on. The copy in that is absolutely killer. This is research-based. This is the stuff that you had to spend tens of thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars. And now we've gone through in 40 minutes, we've gone from creating the psychometric profile of your customer to building a complete working website that will resonate with your specific customer. Look at that copy there. You're bleeding cash while waiting on net 90 invoices. If this doesn't speak to you, then what that means is it means that you are not the ideal customer profile. But if you are that ICP, then this will speak volumes to you. And this, by the way, is just a simple landing page. Imagine what we can do when we put this into a funnel. Imagine what we can do when we couple this with some marketing automation. Imagine what we could do with this when we start to create separate marketing artifacts. Look at this. I don't know about you, but this is pretty freaking good for 40 minutes worth of work. Okay, let me go back here, see if Manus has done its thing. So Manus is still working, building out its web page also over here. I don't think I'm going to wait for it. All right. How it works, FAQ. All right, so here's the thing. Once you have your website developed, then it's going to be iterative. It's a collection of iterations. I would just go back to it and say, for the frequently asked questions, um, add one more FAQ that will be relevant to my problem aware avatar. And what you'll notice is that we'll just get on this spin cycle here and just keep going. So let me just check this. Yeah, this is why I don't like Manus. Look at how much it's just killing my tokens. I don't like Manus for this job right here. It's killing my tokens, but it's doing its thing. All right, so I told it to give me another FAQ. And do I need to put up my house or equipment as collateral? Okay, so it gave me another FAQ. And you can just keep going on and on and on with this. Thank you. This looks good. I need you to give me a dark theme and a light theme. And give me a switcher somewhere so I can switch back and forth between dark theme, light theme, and maybe system.
We lost the presentation.
Ah, okay.
You stopped sharing.
Did it come back?
Not yet.
I see you. Okay. Here, I'm going to stop sharing and come back once more. Right here. Let me not share sound. How about now?
Now we see the desktop only.
Yep. Okay. Perfect.
You didn't get the Ralph Posado
Right.
memo? So, we don't wear pink anymore. I wore my tie one time and that was for a special occasion.
All right. Here, let me just get the back.
No more after spring, G.
Okay. Sorry, I have to find my screen again. I lost my screen. Okay. And I think I had Manus as well. Okay. All right. So let me get back to where I was here. So I won't go through this anymore. This is over here building the dark theme and the light theme. We can go on for a little bit of time, for this. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to make sure that I got you all of the content and material that we've covered here. So I want to take just a quick break here to get you the link to the deck. So let me do this. So this, I'm going to give you this link right here, but I'm going to give you a shortcut to this link so that you can have access to all of the presentations and the links and everything that we've gone over. Let me create this link. So Alejandro, I'll share this with you so that you can have it, but that's going to be the link that people are going to go to access all of the slides and all of the resources for everything. But Alejandro, I'll make sure that you have that.
Perfect. Thank you. Yeah, if you can send it to me via email, I'll add it to the blast that goes out to not just this group, to everybody that has
Okay,
signed up so far,
perfect.
since the presentations are now available. Thank you.
Yep. They're all there. They're already in the link here. So you'll have everything everything that we talked about step by step, all of that stuff. Okay. So that. This is it still hasn't finished. Right here's the one I'm looking for, and that still hasn't finished. Okay. So there was only one final thing that I wanted us to go over, and that is MarTech. So the last thing I'm going to say is that it doesn't matter how good, any of this is if you don't have any customers. So this is such an important part of all of this. Once you've built all of this, I would be irresponsible if I didn't say, find you a marketing automation platform so that you now have the ability to have email automations that speak directly to your ideal customers. You need a CRM to keep up with them. You need funnels. You need campaigns, phone integrations, text message integrations. Get something like HubSpot, GoHighLevel, VibeReach. Get one of those platforms so that you can create your marketing artifacts, put it in there so that you can automate your marketing. That is the final frontier with all of this. Then it becomes a numbers game with that. You're all businesses. You all know about marketing platforms. You all know about CRMs and ERPs, etc. But make sure that you leverage what we've covered in here to automate your marketing platforms. Okay, so before I go to the questions, I did want to put that QR code up there. A few people had kind of asked some questions about, where to go to get specific resources and things like that. If you hit that QR code, kind of put in your scenario, your email, be happy to get back in touch with you. I think that QR code works. I could be mistaken. Let me check real quick. It's a possibility that it doesn't, to be honest, but hold on, let me check.
It works for me.
Okay, perfect. Yep.
AI readiness at integration questionnaire.
Perfect. Yep.
By the way, I did share your email with everybody in the last session. I
Excellent.
incorporated it in the e-blast as well.
Perfect. Perfect. Okay. So I want to take 1 second here to make sure that I once again thank the commissioner, Alejandro. I want to make sure that I express my gratitude, to you for facilitating all of this and the entire team over there in the commissioner's office.
Thank you.
I want to just make sure that I hope that we're taking kind of what we've learned and kind of putting it into practice. So that the future is being built right here, right now by folks that are on this call. I've been teaching that at the college, at Miami-Dade College, speaking at conferences all around the world, working with businesses of every size, and I can tell you with absolute certainty that we're living through one of the most exciting times in the history of entrepreneurship. So the barriers are gone, the tools are here. A single person with a laptop and the right way of thinking can build a business that would have required a team of 50 just 5 years ago. Today was about showing you how to create these AI employees and put their butts to work for you, right? We use these tools to build a pretty cool website, in less than 40 minutes. So they're waiting for you to give them job descriptions, create playbooks, So after today, I hope that you kind of are a little closer to doing that. So here's my challenge to you. Don't let today be just another workshop that you attended. Let this be the day that everything changed. You have the playbook to go home and open Manus, build your dossier, feed that to Claude, build your playbooks for your business, launch your landing page, think about the automations. So the revolution is here, folks, right? The only question again is, are you going to lead it or are you going to just watch it pass by? So with that said, I'll turn it over to you. Actually, Pedro, if you have anything that you want to add, and then, Alejandro, we'll turn it to you.
Well, we got some questions in the Q&A.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to go. Well, I haven't had a chance to look at them. Oh,
Okay. 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 So Murthy, let me start with this. So once you finish, do you share this to WordPress or Squarespace to launch your website? You could
wait,
do.
if you can read the question first,
Sure.
because
Yep.
people don't.
Great point. Yes. So the question is, after you build this, basically, where do you go to host it? So you can go to WordPress or Squarespace, but honestly, they host it for you, right? So a lot of times I'll just keep it right there in Manus and go to GoDaddy and point it to my Manus address. So you can use either one of those, or you can just host it yourself. You can go to Amazon because they're giving you the actual code, so you can host it wherever you want. But I usually use either Netlify or just keep it out there myself. So Freddie, where are the web pages created by AI? Where are they hosted, and how can this domain be registered? Okay, so a couple things here. Let me go back to AI Studio. I can show you aistudio.google.com. Let me go to build. And this is the one that we were just working on. So a couple things. Number one, this is your code right here. So you have access to the code. The real answer is you can host it anywhere you want. That's up to you. I can also come over here and I can publish it. If this is in AI Studio, I can publish it. And what will happen is that it'll publish it straight on Google's cloud infrastructure. And I'll have a Google URL. I'm not going to do it because I don't want to pay for the services, but I can push it out there and it'll publish it right on Google's infrastructure. That's an option that I have. Manus, it's the same exact way. And after I do that, they'll both give you the opportunity to I'm not sure if this one ever finished, but let's see. Oh yeah, okay. So Manus did finish, right? So this is Manus's website that it built from the same requirements. It built this from the same requirements here. But same thing, I can take this URL and I can deploy this anywhere that I want. Seem to have lost my URL though, because I left out of here. So it'll give me the URL, then I'll just go to GoDaddy and just say point directly to that URL. Right. So if I gave anybody this URL right here, that's your live URL. That'll work anywhere. I have a new Mac, so I'm struggling with the copy and paste here, so forgive me. So you can see it's hosted already. It's already hosted. I can just go to GoDaddy and create a CNAME record until that CNAME record redirect to this location right here, and then you'll have alejandro.com or pedro.com that will bring up your website, and now you're done and you're hosted. Okay. This actually is not bad. I mean, Manus makes a pretty darn good website, to be honest with you, especially with hardly any prompting but the basics. Okay, so that's where it's hosted. We can host it anywhere that we want. How do you bring the website out of AI Studio and make it your own app, Anna? That's exactly, yep, that's the right question to ask. Several ways that we can do this. I have access to the code here. I can now share, and when I share, I can push it over to GitHub, which will copy all of the files over to GitHub. there is a way I can download everything as well. I just don't remember how to do it. I think it's this right here. Yeah. So if I click this right here, it'll download all of the code out of this, and it'll give me all of the code in a zip file. So now I've taken it out of AI Studio and I can run it anywhere that I want. So Anna, why can't Manus not do what Claude is doing? It can do what Claude is doing, but Manus is so much more expensive that, sometimes I just, they beat me up with the tokens because you get X amount of tokens and I'm just watching those tokens and Manus just kind of count down. Here, let me go over here. I'll show you. Yeah, so I'm down to 886. When I started today, I had 2,000 tokens, and just the prompts I've given you today in the demos, I've lost 1,200 of my tokens right there. So why can't Manus do what Claude is doing? It can. It's just more expensive. And Michelle, where do you get access to the prompts? It's in the link that I gave you, and Alejandro is going to send out with the next release. Okay. Okay. Actually, Anna, when you're talking about Manus, are you using a separate AI app for this communication? No, I typically stay exactly where I'm at right here. But let me show you something amazing with Manus. If you click on where it says agents in Manus, you click on where it says agents, and you follow the instructions in there, you can tell it, please connect to my Telegram and tell me step by step how to do that. And then what'll happen is that you'll have Manus running in your Telegram. I'm already connected in Telegram. That's why it's telling me that. But when I want to talk to Manus, I typically don't go through the interface. I just bring up my Telegram app here and just start talking to the thing. And then that way I never have to log in or anything like that. Okay. Okay, so I hope you got some value out of this. I hope that this was, kind of practical, and you can kind of see how to go from the theory and the words to putting things, directly into action.